Everybody, we are here with Felipe Cagno, and he is the man behind a project called The Few and the Cursed. And I say project because this is it's kind of interesting. It's a property that has kind of morphed and mushroomed into a few other things. Felipe, how are you?
I'm good. How are you, Norm? Thanks so much for finding the time to talk to me. I appreciate it.
No, no, no. It's my pleasure. It's my pleasure. So okay, can you tell us what The Few and the Cursed is?
Sure. The Film Curse is a weird Western kind of thing. And I say kind of thing because it takes place about 70 years after a mysterious occurrence dried up the whole world. That was back in the 1900s, like 1800s, I'm sorry. So it is a weird West in a post-apocalyptic setting, but not in the future. So it's early 1904, 1905, something like that. The world has grown accustomed already to the lack of water. Whatever little water that is left in the world, it's so rare that it uses currency. And this whole experience opened up the world to all these different curses, monsters, creatures, hell spawns, if you will. And that's the sandbox that we're playing in. And the main character, the one that started it all, was a nameless gunslinger, curse chaser, the Redhead. We don't know much about her, but we know that she goes from town to town chasing down curses. And the first story that we did was the Redhead versus these gigantic crows called the Crows of Manaulana.
Mhm.
It's these creatures that kidnap children in the dead of night. So that's
On.
pretty much the curse in a nutshell.
So it's kind of like a an alternate universe in the past slash future fantasy.
If you
Um,
will. I told you it was weird. I told you.
no, I mean, but
Told you
somehow
it
it
was weird,
works.
and I told you it's kind of thing because it's hard to pin the feeling curse as something. Like it has a little bit of everything. And the thing is, we've been working on it for a while now, for so long that it, like you've said already, it grew, it developed, it evolved into a board game. Now there's a music project up on Kickstarter, and we've done other stories that does not involve the redhead at all, and that's why it's so hard to pin a genre on it, if you will.
I think it's doing everything it can to avoid being defined. Actually,
Yes, that's a good way to put it, because look, one of the things that I really strive as a creator is if I've seen something similar somewhere else, I go out of my way to change it and
mm,
make sure it's fresh and original. So, like comparisons they happen naturally. People be like, oh, this is like the Dark Tower, this is like Mad Max, this is like Buffy the Vampire Slayer. It is, but it isn't, because it's a little bit of all those things. So I hope that I've blended enough influences or inspirations that it became its own thing.
got it. Okay, so first of all, sorry I got the title wrong. The Few and Curse, not The Few and the Curse. I'm sure that happens all the time.
It
Um,
does.
but so essentially, this started off as a graphic novel with with a story following the
Mhm.
redhead who goes around fighting these curses, and
Yep.
then it became a board game.
It did.
What? Okay, well, first off, when did you start the original project?
Right. We created the redhead. She was the spark, the initial, the kickoff, if you will. We created
Mhm.
the character, Fabian and I. We co-created her back in 2014, I want to say.
Okay.
We did a three-page story featuring her, but the official Viewing Curse issue number one, the comic book, was published a year later. So that's 2015.
Hmm.
And I always use Kickstarter to fund these projects, and it's one of the key keys to the success of the series is exactly the Kickstarter, because we managed to build a community around it, you know. So we were able to do all these really fun comics. And then in one of the Kickstarters, a reader fan came up to me and say, "Hey, there's this guy. He has like this board game, crowdfunding as well, called Maximum Apocalypse. I think you should talk." And he
Mhm,
sent the same message to Mike, the guy behind the Maximum Apocalypse board game.
mhm,
We got in touch and we realized that we have a lot of the same passions.
mhm,
So I licensed the Thinkers to become a board game, and Mike did something that was amazing. Like he could have easily taken like an idea that he had for a board game and kind of just slapped the skin, the brand of the Thinkers, but he really wanted to collaborate and create a game that was true to the storytelling, the world building that we were doing with the Thinkers. And he literally he did a superb job translating what it would be like to be inside these comics.
mhm,
And that's the so it's a deck builder where you can chase monsters or you can work for water, and it's a tough life, and you don't get very far without the right resources. It's a really fun experience, and we started influencing each other because he came up to me and was like, "Hey, I need more characters."
mhm,
So I came up with an anthology of short stories designed exactly to give Mike more characters for the board game,
mhm,
and that became the Chronicles of the Fearing Curse. And then, you know, like one of the characters that we created specifically for the game, I fell in love with her, and I gave her her own graphic novel, which is Shadow Niche. So it kind of organically started to grow into these different directions with these unique characters, you know.
mhm. It's yeah, it's the nature of the, the nature of creativity is fascinating to me. So okay, so can people can purchase the graphic novel? Where can they get that?
We're actually right now we're currently on Kickstarter with the music project, because we're doing a music album slash score that people
Okay.
can listen to while they play the board game, or if they're reading the comic books, or if they want to just kick back and they're stuck in traffic or something, just hit play. And we're also doing audiobook adventures, so it's all part of the same sonic approach to the thinkers. And we're currently on Kickstarter. We are fully funded. We're chasing stretch goals. And of course, along with the music album, you can grab the comic books as well in sort of a combo. If people are just looking for the actual comic books, they can find the trade paperback at Amazon.com, Barnes and Noble, other outlets out there. I know comic book stores, they can order through their local comic shops. So we're out there. They can find us.
Cool.
If they just look for the Thinkers, I'm sure they'll find a link. We're on Comixology if they want to buy it digitally.
Mhm.
So we're around.
Very cool. So you mentioned that you're funding the music project, the
Yeah.
audio project right now. What was the bridge from board game to music?
Right? Yeah. Look, I love how these things keep happening in a very natural way. Like if you take a look from an outsider's perspective, it feels like I have everything laid out and it's all part of a like an evil scheme, you know, like a part of a big plan, but it's not, that's not what's going on at all. Like, so the music project happened because through my business partner in LA, Ron Martino and Magical Threads, I got to know Mark Miller, and Mark has an audiobook uh, company called Encyclocalypse. It's complicated. It's Encyclocalypse. Tough name, but he's put out these amazing audiobooks, and he was the one that suggested, hey, let's adapt different curse into an audiobook, which was a terrific experience because I got to hear these characters come to life, like with full on accents and acting and feelings. It was awesome. And along with the audiobook, we needed score, we needed music. So we brought in Chris and Lily Desmond, and they've been handling that part as well. So it's been an interesting ride where one thing is just pulling the other. We also shot a couple of short films last year. Again, because I know this pop culture journalist that looks exactly like the redhead, and she's done a few cosplay editorials for some of the magazines that she worked for, newspapers or websites.
Mhm.
And she was like, "Hey, do you want to do like a photo shoot, a cosplay photo shoot?" I was like, "Yeah." So we started, headlining that project together. And then Ron, my partner, was like, "Listen, if you have a girl in full costume, why don't you write and shoot something with her? I have a background in filmmaking." I was like, "Yeah." So we ended up shooting a couple of shorts, and we're using the score that we came up for the audiobook. We're using it for the films as well. So one thing's pulling the other. It's been really exciting.
It's it's fascinating to see how a creative seed develops, isn't it?
It
And
is.
it's fascinating to me how it just everything's kind of sprouting up. But
It all started with a single 3-page story.
wow,
That's bonkers. And then Fabiana was like, "Hey, I love this character. You want to do something with it?" And we did. We did issue number one. And I was like, "Oh, let's do another one." And then,
and then
like you
there you
said,
go.
it germinated. It just grew and evolved without much control.
Wow. And so now you're on Kickstarter funding the music project and the audiobook uh
Yes.
and so I'll put that link in the description of the video as well. But yeah, where do you even anticipate this thing might go next?
We have an RPG book coming out in October.
He knows where it's going
I do
next.
know. So in October, I actually think we have the preview link is up already. So we're launching again on Kickstarter. So Mike, the Rockstar Games that did the board game, he has like a line of RPG books. So
Hmm.
he's doing RPG. So we're launching that on October 11th. So we have an RPG book coming out as well. And then obviously I have a few comic book titles in the works, and I really hope that I continue to work in the film slash TV, playgrounds. I'd love to do more with that, but so far nothing concrete. I'm just saying, like I loved the results of the two shorts that we shot last year. That I'd love to go back and shoot one more and see where it goes. See how that's gonna grow.
Excellent. Well, keep us posted on what happens, and if there's something we can review, we're down. So,
Thank you. I appreciate that. Yeah,
well,
absolutely.
Felipe, thank you so much for taking the time to talk to us. Everyone, The Few and Cursed, uh, the music and audio vinyl experience is on Kickstarter right now, and they've far surpassed their goal, and they're going for some stretch goals now. So, congratulations on that. Everybody, take a look at it, and if you want to help out, do so. Uh, Felipe, thank you so much for your time, and best
Thank
of
you.
luck
I
on
really
this project.
appreciate it. I know we've tried a couple of times to get this going, so I was happy we were able to. So
Yeah,
thank you so much. I appreciate it.
absolutely. It's my pleasure. Take care, sir.
You too. Thank you.